Peace and love, peace and love. Can you hear me? I'm guessing you might not be able to. Can you hear me? Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Is the audio coming in? Okay. Hopefully this is coming in. I am on my typical weekday routine, driving back in and just rambling. I have a meeting later today that I'm a little bit nervous about. Somebody, I mentioned it yesterday, somebody I know is somebody. Somebody is somebody. He's kind of a somebody in the creative world. He's a creative studio director. And I think, I don't know what his title is exactly, but I think he hires a bunch of designers and has built a bunch of different brands over the decades. He's an old timer who has now retired, and he's become an artist, but he's built an empire of graphic design and conceptual design and creative, a creative studio, a media studio. I'm not even really sure what he does, but he's in cahoots. Can you guys hear me okay? Hey, James. Okay, great. He's in cahoots with some big deal people. The way that I came to know about him is that I did a video about a really interesting bookstore in my neighborhood, that, not my neighborhood, but the neighborhood where I work, kind of a posh part of Tokyo, where it was a really interesting bookshop, and it was sort of the side project of a guy who made, I think, a lot of money doing something else. And he wanted a place to gather all of his cool friends. And so he built this little bookshop as just like a little hangout place. It's tiny. And each of the sections of the bookshelf, the bookstore, it's not a typical bookstore in that they're even selling books. They are selling books, but it's almost more like a gallery than it is a bookstore. And each of the bookshelves is essentially curated by one of his friends. And on the bookshelf are 10 to 20 books which the curator believes informed their sensibility in whatever field they work in. And there was like a musician guy and a climber guy and a whiskey guy and a finance guy and an art director guy and an art collector guy and a museum curator, and it was all these like very interesting people. And each of the bookshelves had 20 different books, and some of them were like philosophy books, Goethe and Tanizaki and Giacometti and philosophers and just thinkers, as well as just cool design books or books that they loved. Anyway, this guy, one of the characters who curated one of the shelves, his name is Kamiya-san, and I hope he's not watching this right now. Kamiya-san, I have a meeting with Kamiya-san later today, and the deal is that this guy Kamiya-san, he made this design company that I don't think has a ton of web presence, but I think was a very big deal in the day. And I don't think he needed very much web presence because of the clientele that he had. The reason I suspect this is because he's got a building, an enormous, beautiful, relatively new building that's like 6-7 stories, and his office is on the top floor. It's in a really nice part of town. It's a really designery kind of building. He's got a gallery on the first floor, a cafe on the second floor, and it's this big giant spiral thing. It's kind of a thing. It's a really interesting, and people line up all weekend long to go have coffee there and be seen there. It's called Monkey Cafe. And anyway, that's just one of his, like, now he's retired and now he's basically become an artist, and his art is really interesting. He takes sort of known objects, like known icons that you would easily recognize, and he wraps them in this blue cellophane and he turns them into these abstractions. It's really interesting. And for example, like the Statue of Liberty, he takes it and he kind of meticulously wraps the entire thing in cellophane. There's another large installation guy, the guy who covered the, what's that called, Arc de Triomphe in Paris. You know, the guy who covered the entire thing. There's another, I think the same artist covered, like, you know, that's his thing. He like covers things. Anyway, Kamiya-san is doing this at a kind of a smaller scale, and he's using blue, this kind of cobalt blue, this what is that color? Azul, you know, deeps blue, to wrap these objects. The Eiffel Tower, like human scale objects, which you might have in your home or something. They're kind of cool. They're really cool, actually. Anyway, that's his new thing. But this is only after he ran this big successful design firm for a really, really long time. Not architecture, not industrial design, but like graphic design and probably branding. I think he like maybe came up with some famous characters like Mr. Friendly, maybe, which I think is maybe a brand more popular in Europe or no. I'm not even sure, man. I'm not even sure. But this guy's he's. I looked at his list of, you know, his biography and his list of accolades, and he's done a lot. And he mentioned to me that he knew and so anyway, I'm there making my video at the bookstore. And hey, Zed Zuko, I got a question. Oh, Yornimer, great. This is fucking great. Both of you guys are here. I'm really happy to have you here because this is a question. I have a question for you guys specifically. And Mick at a perfect prescription. Mick if Mick is out there, or if Peter, who lives here in Tokyo. Anyway, he says to me, I'm doing my video, and as I'm doing the video, he's walking by the shop because his Monkey Cafe is near this bookshop, and the manager of the bookstore says to me, right as he's walking by, "Oh, that's Kamiya-san. That's one of the guys who's curated the shelf." And I said, "Oh, should I say hello?" And she said, "Yeah, let me introduce you." So she introduced me to him, and I said, "Hey, I'm Brian." And he said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I'm making a video, and I learned about you already, and I learned about the books that you curated for the shelf." And he said, "Oh, cool." And he was really encouraging, and he knew already about a bunch of stuff that I did. And even though I'm like a nobody, but yeah, the few things that I mentioned, he was like, "Oh, you must know so-and-so, and I know this. Oh yeah, I know about that." And so we had like a little thing, you know, a little moment. And then, but he's old, he's like, you know, he's silver hair, and he's got blue glasses, and he's properly a senpai. And so then I would see him around the neighborhood, and I'd say, "Oh, Kamiya-san," and he'd say, "Oh, Brian, how's everything going?" And he told me that one of his friends is the owner of Face Records, right? Face is a very, very big record store in Tokyo, who I've already had a meeting with once that went nowhere, unfortunately. I gave them a brilliant idea on a collaboration, and the sort of, I think, middle management people just didn't quite get the vision. And when Kamiya-san told me that he knew the owner, I thought, oh, there's another angle, because I actually I quite want to work with Face. I have an idea to work with Face. Anyway, he's keeping in touch with me. I see him around the neighborhood. I go to the gallery to look at the artwork in the gallery. It's a cool place to just go and check out. And when I see him in the neighborhood, he's so cool and iconic and stylish, and he's very nice. And So but I haven't seen him in like 6 months maybe, or I don't know, I haven't seen him in 3 months, and he messages me this week and says, "Hey, I want to invite you to coffee if you're free this week." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And he said, "I'm bringing 2 guys along. One guy is behind Workshop Moo, MU, Workshop Moo." And I knew that. As soon as he said it, I knew it, because I know that Workshop Moo, I think, is like a competitor, or a colleague of his. They're another design company, and I think a guy named Mike Nogami, Mike Nogami, is connected to Workshop Moo somehow. And I don't even know how I know the name Mike Nogami, but I think he's actually like Miki something, like Miki Kaze or Miki Hitsu or Miki something. But I think he goes by Mike Nogami, and I know that name, and I'm like, how do I know that name? And I know the little logo. It's a little blue or purplish bluey logo with the word workshop and an MU underneath it. And I don't know what they do. I don't know what they are, but I think they are the Japanese hypnosis, essentially. I think. But I think I've seen their logo on record covers before, and the guy who's behind Studio Moo is coming to this meeting, and I need to know about him, and I've got 1 hour to learn about everything I can to know about Studio Moo. So I'm wondering if anybody out there knows anything about Workshop Moo, to help me work my way through this. I'm gonna go home and just Google and chat, and just deep dive as hard as I can into Moo, but I really hope I can come to him with some educated comments or questions, because because Moo is also from the 70s. Can you imagine meeting Storm Thurgeson or something like that, and being like, "Oh, hey, oh, I don't know, oh, you did Dark Side of the Moon." I don't want to be put my shoe in my mouth. I no doubt will, but I would like to have 1 or 2 things to talk about, and I have no idea what I meant to talk to him about. And then the other guy that's coming to this thing is from a band called Sentimental City. And Sentimental City, hey Psycho, nice to see you. Sentimental City, I don't guess anybody's heard of Sentimental City, but I think they're a huge 70s and 80s rock band in Japan that I probably ought to know about, but I don't. They're I feel they sound, I've listened to 3 or 4 of their records now. They sound a bit like the Eagles maybe, or I can hear Little Feat. They've got just that sort of Laurel Canyon sound, which I'm sort of connected to via Hosono and Happy End. Well, I say connected to, I just mean super fan of. So I don't have any time to go learn about these. This all came together rather quickly, and now it's upon me, and I'm gonna meet them, and I don't know what the hell to talk to these people, and I don't even know if I can hang in there in Japanese. Somebody tell me you know something about Workshop Moo, or Sentimental City, or Monkey Cafe, or Kamiya-san. So I'm a little not panicked, but I'll be fine. But it's I was hoping one of you guys might be like, "Oh, Studio Moo, they did the cover of some important record that that David Bowie was involved with." Is there one thing that I need to know about them? I probably am the only person who would know this information anyway, if somebody were to know it. But I was just hoping that one of you Japanophiles who tend to know Japan better than me might know a little bit about this, but I'm guessing no, nobody's piping in. Okay, well that's okay. That's my That's my homework for this morning. Workshop Moo. I was like, I don't want to drive and search it, so I thought it'd just be easier to just ramble about it. Damn. Nope, not off the top of my head. Just looked up Workshop Moo, and they're the designers of Happy and LP covers. Are they? Is that right? Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? Really? Of which covers? Can you your number, tell me which covers. Are all of them? No fucking way. Are you serious? Oh shit, maybe I'll bring my records with me. Oh dude, for real? Okay, maybe that's how I know them. That's how I know them, maybe. Oh my god, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, shit. Oh no, okay, that's good. That's why he's inviting me. Hosono and Happy End according to Discogs. Okay. Okay. That's a little bit even more intimidating, to be honest. Wow. I wonder if he did Yude Men. Did he do? Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's very, very exciting. That's like makes me really nervous, but that's really exciting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, you can. I don't know if Hosono has produced this band Sentimental City, but it very much sounds like he has. I mean, it could be. It almost sounds like as if like Happy End were like a sort of Japanese Beatles. It sounds like Sentimental City would be like Badfinger, something like this. It feels like they might have seen something of themselves in this band Sentimental City. I could be way off. Wow. Wow, that's exciting. Interesting. Okay, so Happy End's discography. Wait a second. Is Mike Nogami? Mike Nogami is a photographer. Mike Nogami is a very, very famous photographer. That's how I know his name. Look him up. Mike Nogami is a very famous photographer. He's not the guy who's coming today. I pray he's not the guy who's coming today. Mike Nogami, I just remembered it. Yeah, Mike Nogami photographed a bunch of album covers and Western guys too. Mike Nogami is enormous, and I bet you he's the guy who photographed Kazemon Romaji. Kazemon. What am I trying to say? Yeah, that one. Kazemon Romaji. I bet he's the guy. Okay, interesting. So this Studio Moo, so if you guys don't know the Happy End records, the first one is my favorite. It's Yude Man. It's two-tone. It's yellow and orange, and it's just a black and white two-toned, duo-toned photo. It's really groovy, and then the back side is like purple, and it has like a collage of images all over it. I bet Nogami, I think he was like a high school buddy with Hosono. That's how I just remembered that. Oh, wow. Okay, this is going to be really cool, I think. This could be really, really fun. And then their second album, Kazemon Romaji, Roman Holiday, Kazemon Romaji, has the four Hosono, or has the four Happy End members on the covers. It's the iconic one that has Kaze o Atsumete, which was made famous to a Western audience by Lost in Translation. But it has it's a white background, almost like a Beatlesy, white album kind of, very much inspired. Those Japanese guys, they just ripped off everything. They were ripping off left and right, and you can, it's a very interesting time in Japan. It's fun to have friends from that generation because they were just like so obsessed with American culture and UK culture too. You see, like there's like two different breeds, but they do mix up. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be fun. Wow, all right, I didn't realize that. I really did not. I knew I'd seen the Studio Moo thing somewhere. I didn't realize it was Happy End Records. That's awesome. That's great. Now, I'm both less nervous and more nervous. Okay, I have a lot of things to ask about. Wow. Okay. Well, mystery solved. That was the mission of this stream. What about this is? Thank you for looking that up, Yornimer. I appreciate that. That helps a lot. If there's any other tidbits that you can drop in the chat, it'd be most helpful. I don't want to oblige you to like go researching for me. Or what would be a question you would ask somebody like this if you met a sort of Storm Thurgeson kind of person? What kind of questions would you ask him? What kind of things would you want to know about? I mean, obviously, they'd be album-specific things. And obviously, they'd be like, how do you start? I mean, I remember Storm Thurgeson did the cover of Mollusk, Ween's Mollusk. And he said, he also did the cover of Fish's Slip, Stitch, and Pass, two killer albums. But he said that he liked the music of Ween so much that he offered to the cover of Mollusk is really awesome. If you don't know it, it's very, very weird. I need a hypnosis book, and I never saw the movie. I never saw the Circle Squared movie. I'd really like to see it, but I imagine these guys. I've seen them before. They remind me of the layout on Above Record. I wonder what Hosono records he did. Man, I wonder if he did Paraiso or Hosono House. Or, man, I wonder. Oh, I wonder if he did I bet he did the Philharmony or Philharmony. I bet he did that one too. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I wonder if the dude who's coming today is the dude, or if he's just a guy who worked in the studio. I wonder who's coming today. Wow, amazing, very cool. So, but back to this Ween thing. He said that he liked I read somewhere when I was learning about the Ween record that he loved the album. He loved the music so much that I think he did it for free, or he did part of the project for free, or he over-delivered like a poster and liner notes and like the back cover or something that he wasn't asked to do, but he just didn't want to stop working on it. So I wonder if you're working on an album, or you're in an art studio, like you're really in. Maybe I'll ask him about that. I've always thought, it sounds really silly, but I have a very busy mind. Sorry for just be rambling here, but I have like a very busy mind, and I like to make something from nothing, kind of. I like to look at a blank paper, and I like to hear something and riff. I like to just create something from nothing, and I like the act of brainstorming a lot, and I'm good at it, I think. And conceptual, design or conceptualizing something. I like to just start. I even like simply to explain the point, like post-conceptualization. Maybe looked down upon in the conceptualization field. But I like to connect dots and be like, okay, you've got an idea here, you've got a morsel of an idea here, or take an album that's not a concept album and find the dots that connect it and create the narrative. Maybe wasn't there to begin with, but that emerges out of brainstorming. I love that process. I love I can't talk about that. I've had a couple of, anyway, I really like that process of brainstorming, and I've always wondered if there was a job you could do that's purely brainstorming. I want to do a job that's just brainstorming. Doesn't that sound like a good job? Let's just sit around and like think of how we could, what would be a cool idea? Yeah, people say like, oh, you're like, I don't know. I went and applied for a weird job when in my very early days in Japan, and it was for I think like a trading company. I don't even know what they did. It was like some finance thing. I had no business like applying for it, but I think I was just hard up for money, and it was just it said something like people, maybe it was I don't even know what it was, but I met this guy in a suit in a nice restaurant in Ginza, and he like just took one look at me and was like, no, definitely not. But he told me to my face, you look more like a like behind the scenes kind of guy or something like that. You look like a more back of house kind of person. Maybe not so much front of house. And I just kind of was like so insulted, and it was so funny at the same time. I just couldn't help but brush it off, but I kind of took it as a compliment. I don't mind being in the front of the house, but I like also being in the back of the house. And yeah, my job, photography requires a lot of like just brainstorming. What could we do? Okay, we're going to the beach. What can we riff on the beach? Water, fish, whales, seashells, just with that word cloud. And then it's like sand, studio. We bring sand into the studio. We bring an umbrella, and like you like conceptualize an idea. I like that process. Ask Gemini. Workshop Moo was a graphic design collective active from 68 to 76. Okay, short. Wow, 68. Cool. They are the most famous for creating the visual identity for the Hosono's early career. Wow. 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 Okay, I'm out of my league. Okay, I'm gonna fanboy out a little bit. Maybe I should bring some records. Is that corny? I don't even, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Wow. Amazing. Do you know you guys should look up the I think it's called Philharmony? Philharmony, the Hosono record. Super awesome cover. Hosono's records are all kind of weird. He had the Bon Voyage, so he did like a Ditch trilogy. He did like this island vibey kind of thing, this sort of like the lost years, sort of. They're all really great records. Party Iso, there's cars behind me. Hold on, I want to read that comment. This is awesome, Yornimer. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Because, like I'm going to go home and read up about this on Wikipedia or whatever, or chat, but like somehow Jerry Seinfeld talked about this in Cars, in getting, what is it, Cars and Coffee or whatever. Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. He said like the movement is what carried the show. The dynamic nature, dynamism of the movement of the show is what really made the show. It wasn't really the comedy, it wasn't really the cars, it was the fact that you were on the move on that show. I definitely think there's something to that. In fact, I think a lot of Tokyo record style sensibility maybe comes from that. It's like on the motorcycle, on the go, on the thing. I like being in the studio, I like being in front of the records, but I like being on the go too, because that's the way that's the vibe of this place. So, but what I'm saying is that like somehow it's muscle mind memory that I'll read a comment here and I'll remember it better than I will if I sit at my computer and read something. So I'm almost at a spot where I can stop and read that comment. Thank you. I knew this would be worth it. I knew somebody would know something. And I mean, granted, you might not have known it off the top of your head, and I appreciate you looking it up, but okay, that's cool that you can, like, you know, your online friends, you're in different time zones, somebody's just like chilling out at home, like I can contribute to this. Nearly other place to stop. Okay. Wow. Okay, so then the second album of Happy End is the white one, that's sort of the white album. Then the third one is, what's the third one? The third one is, oh, the girl and the boy kissing each, like the sort of 1950s. Let this guy pass. Okay. Oh my God, I'm burning up. Hosono 1973. Hold on, is that the last one? Hosono 1973. Workshop Moo designed the cover for Hosono's debut Hosono House. Okay. The artwork featured a photo of Hosono in his home, became iconic for its handmade and Americana aesthetic. Interesting. Also stated, Happy in 1973. They also designed the cover for the self-titled third album, Happy and Interesting. Okay, great. That's great to know. I know those albums. I know those track listings very well. That's great. Wicked. Okay. Interesting. So the Happy End third album has got a really interesting story about it that maybe I'll bring up with him. But their first album is also called Happy End, but it's also nicknamed Udemen. Udemen means boiled noodles. It's like, you know, ramen and, you know, udon, what else? Ramen, yeah, ramen. Anyway, men is noodles and ude is like hot water, I think. Boiled, udemen. Ude tamago is like boiled egg. Udemen is boiled noodles, but that's because there's a sign on the album cover that says Udemen. It's the sign of a restaurant that says Udemen. So, but I think it says somewhere on the record Happy End, and it's written in hiragana. This won't be interesting to anybody, but hiragana is a phonetic alphabet of Japan. But because the word is Happy End, and it's a Western word, it should be written in katakana, which is the alphabet specifically for loan words. So it should be happy endo in katakana, but and katakana has this sort of like edgy, it's a little bit more hard. It has like more right angles and more edges. And hiragana has this flowy sort of cursive-y thing. It's more sort of pretty. It's almost like katakana is masculine and hiragana is feminine. And they've written it in hiragana, which is technically like incorrect but poetic, that they wrote the name of their band Happy End in hiragana. Very interesting. I don't see a lot of bands doing this. I wanted to use hiragana to name our daughter, but my wife kind of wasn't into it. But on their second album, they had like a proper album title, but on their third album, it's also called Happy End, but it's written in the English letters. It's written in like it's written in Roman letters. And it's called Happy End, Happyend, which is different than Happy End written in the katakana or hiragana script, which is kind of interesting. And the reason that it's written in the like Romaji alphabet is because they went and recorded it in California. And there's a funny story about Lowell George and the other guy from Little Feat recorded it. And they showed up at the studio unannounced, Hosono and crew, and they said, give us that California sound, is the quote. We're looking for that California sound. And I think Little Feat had like no idea who they were. And they're sort of like Pink Floydy, you know. Like if you see them in the studio, they're also like laid back, and they just like they don't seem to have like a care in the world, and they're just like, and that's the way the music. It just has this attitude, like I don't like. It's like we can't, you know. It's not that we can't be bothered. It's just that like nothing is that important, you know. It's just like it's got. That's why I love it. It's got like a. It doesn't concern itself with anything but it doesn't concern itself with like like pop culture or political culture or social culture. It only concerns itself with like I don't know, just like human experiences or you know poeticism. And anyway, they go to the studio and Lil George says like, we don't have any time for you. Like we don't have any, like we're booked. You can't just show up from Tokyo unannounced and expect to get your album recorded at whatever studio it was. And Hosono, who was like basically an Azabu rich boy, produced a suitcase full of money, was like, will this change your mind? And they were like, oh, yes, actually that will. And they ended up recording the album. And they said that they got lectured about World War II and about Pearl Harbor and good grief. And they were drunk the whole time. And it wasn't very fun for Hosono and crew. And they left sort of like with a little bit of broken dreams and disappointment and underwhelmed, they said. And it's cool. I mean, I don't know. I thought the fact that they were like sort of underwhelmed was actually kind of cool. They were like, man, these guys, we thought these guys would, you know, I like that notion of like, you know, like America putting on this big front about how it's this like perfect Hollywood place, you know, with picket fences and, you know, this idyllic life everywhere you go, and then it's really not. And like people come and they find out that it's just the same as everywhere else. But there is something different to it, but it's not really what they portray it to be, what they you know, the air that they put on anyway. Yeah, Hosono connection is pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked. Okay, you'll have to let us know what they wanted to chat about if you can. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just like oh, he's like a salon guy. He just likes to get interesting people together, and he thought, oh, I'll ask that. I'll ask this guy Brian. He'll make an interesting character to add to a, you know, conversation. I don't know. That's probably all it is, but it would be cool if they did say, hey, by the way, we were thinking we have something on the horizon and you would be an interesting character to bring into the fold. I doubt that's going to happen, but you never know. Okay, well, wow. Okay, now I feel much less nervous and much more nervous at the same time. Thank you so much, Yornimer and Zedzuko. I appreciate it. I knew that was, it's wicked. Very, very cool. I'm going to sign off. Appreciate you guys. Nice conversations going on out there in the ether. So I appreciate all the good vibes and all the music love that's going around. I do have one other thing to discuss, but I got a guy who wants to go on a flash pan quick tour of Tokyo tomorrow, and I don't know if I can pull it all together in time. And I'm wondering if I should say no. I want to say yes, but I wonder. I can feel like maybe it's a thing to say no to. I'm not sure. Yeah, good luck. All right. See you guys on the next one. Have a nice Friday, TGIF. We have a 3-day weekend. That means I'll get a few videos out this weekend. Look out for me there on the YouTubes. Till next time, see you guys. Bye. I appreciate you. Thanks everybody for being here. Adrian Ocean Adrian, nice to see you. Yornimer Zedzuko, James Farley in the house. All right, see you guys on the next one. Bye.